welcome to another episode of Showboys. My name is Mike. Welcome. Here with me, I have my two good friends, fellow host, and our live stream producer, Chad Walk the Third. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I am great. I am great. How are you, sir? Since nobody's going to ask, I figure I'll ask you.
Thank you. You're already better than Nick. Just we're 30 seconds in, and you've already done a better job. I'm doing good. We're matching tonight.
We
which
are.
is cool.
We are. It's impressive.
We were talking before we went live. We have the co-host like unintentional synchronization going on, and yeah. Anyways, Dad's with us. Our I like how you changed your tag down there, Dad, the producer. I like it. How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm good. I missed the memo on the green. I'm sorry.
You did.
How's the ice cream sandwich?
I think being the producer, I'd be on top of that.
Yeah.
It was my idea, but I missed the memo.
At least that giant bathing suit behind you, is that green? Maybe it might be brown. Can't tell.
It's brown.
Yanni? What? Yeah. So the ice cream sandwich was salvageable.
Yeah.
You said it was melted. It does.
Oh, it's super melted.
It looks a little rough. Yeah. So we're here another Thursday. Looking to get into a fun topic tonight. We're going to be talking about The Last of Us season 1. It ended sometime in the middle of March. We had our March Madness tournament going on, so we didn't get to cover it. We did have an episode talking about the first episode of season 1. But now that it's over and we have time, we wanted to dig into it because it's an IP that Chad and I hold close to our hearts that we love very much. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. I hope you guys are excited to talk about it. I hope our listeners are excited to hear about it. And as always, you can join in the conversation in the comments. Or if you're listening to this / watching this after the live stream, feel free to throw your comments on the YouTube video and let us know what you think. Any questions you had, and we'll get back with you guys. Before we get into it, we got to shout out our top tier patrons. Tim B, Yusuf H, and Joe C. Thank you guys for your continued support, and all of our other patrons. You guys rule, and we love you too. Thank you so much for helping keep the lights on. If you're interested or don't know what the heck Patreon is, you can head over to patreon.com/showboyspodcast and learn all about it. It's a cool way that you can sign up to support us monthly. There's different tiers, different price points from, I think, $1 all the way up to $10. And they all come with different perks and benefits. Go check it out. Patreon.com/showboyspodcast. Sign up today. And we will love you forever.
Yes.
Yes.
I already love you forever.
I do too.
That's
Mike
true.
will. Mike will.
That's true. If you're here listening, we already love you. But we'll love you even more.
Extra love.
Yeah. Oh yeah, one other thing. So I'm feeling generous today. I made a little community post 20-30 minutes ago before we went live. So the glare is pretty righteous, but I have this cool Darius figure who is a League of Legends character. Just been chilling in my giveaway pile. And in honor of the spring LCS finals that just happened on Sunday, thought it'd be cool to give this away. So stay tuned. I'll tell you how you can win that here, a little bit further into the episode as I figure out a way for you to win it. Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool little collectible. Darius is awesome. League of Legends is awesome. And we got to celebrate the finals. So make sure you listen for that coming soon. But yeah, season 1, The Last of Us. You guys ready to get into it?
Yes.
I'm very ready.
All right. Jeff, Dad, have you watched the show?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Have
watched
you
the whole
played
show?
the game?
Okay. So I was just writing this down because I didn't want to forget. So in typical dad fashion, when it comes to TV shows, I only watched like maybe the first episode. So when it
shout out March Madness.
Oh no.
When it comes to the game, I played maybe what would have been the first episode of the game.
Okay, but you did watch
the whole show.
Maybe a little bit more. Yes, I did watch the show. I watched the whole thing.
Good.
I've binged it.
Okay, so you've played a little bit of the game, but you didn't complete it. Chad,
Correct, but
you've
it makes me want to
close.
play it.
Yeah, for sure. When was the last time you played through this, Chad? This game?
Just recently, actually. Like within probably around when the show first started, I got part 1, which is the remake of the first game, and I streamed a little bit of it over on the YouTube channel. You can find like maybe 2 or 3 episodes of it, and I kind of trailed off after that. But yeah, very recently, so it's all really fresh in my mind.
Nice. That will come in handy because it has been probably since the game released since
Yeah.
I've played it. So it's been
2013,
quite a few years. Granted, when it did release, I played it a crap load, like beat it a bunch of times, platinumed it, and then was highly addicted to the multiplayer. So I was like living, sweating, breathing, eating The Last of Us. And I believe I shared this in the episode that we talked about the premiere of season 1. I think all the way back in 2014, I want to say, I made a Facebook post for my first attempt at like podcasting or vlogging or whatever you want to call it. And we talked about a news piece announcing a movie adaptation of The Last of Us. So this is something I've been waiting for like 9 years.
Oh yeah.
And it finally came, and I'm so glad it came as a series instead of a movie.
Yeah.
Yes, very true. We can get into that for sure. I think that this is the way Naughty Dog needs to handle all their games moving forward, like including Uncharted. If we get an Uncharted series, dude, like I'm all
just
in.
reboot that and
yeah.
like that was a fun movie.
Yeah, it was passable.
Let's just reboot that.
Yeah.
Hey, Derpy Entertainment's here. Can't wait for Joel and 1. And Reddy's here, the swag messiah. Joe, unfortunately, he commented all the way back at 8:30, mind you. So that was like 26 minutes before we went live. He said, I cannot watch tonight because I have not seen this yet, but know that I love you.
We love you too, Joe.
Sure. I don't know why I said sure.
It's a good choice, though.
We love you too, sure.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. But yeah, so I'm excited to pick your brain about, we'll go through like how similar the shows, the episodes, and the events landed with how they played out in the game. Because to me, it's a little fuzzy since it's been so long. We'll get into that. We'll talk about, just our thoughts overall, and we can also talk about what to expect in season 2. There is a season 2, even though season 1 covered all the entirety of Last of Us Part 1. And I have not played part 2, so we'll have to pick your brain about that too, Chad. But yeah, so we got a lot of fun stuff coming up here. So overall, Chad, what'd you think?
So let me be very clear on this. I think if this show had aired 6 weeks earlier, it probably would have won our March Madness.
Yes,
100%.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, we should just get that out of the way. The only reason it wasn't included in the tournament was because it started like the week before the tournament started. So we didn't think that is quite fair to have a show that was debuting and currently running its first season during the entire tournament. So if we do it again, it will be on and we'll probably win.
It'll probably dominate.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, I think they did a freaking amazing job with it, bro, through and through. I think there are some misses here and there. And we can talk about that later when we get into spoilers. But I think from taking now, you also have to remember that they're also taking the best story ever told in gaming. So they were working with a very gem of a story. But what they added to it, I think was awesome. Like there's a lot of stuff that wasn't in the game at all. And it added a lot of context to stuff that did happen in the game. Joel, Pedro's Joel, I think was freaking phenomenal. I wasn't sold on him when they first announced him, even though I love him. I didn't see him playing Joel. Joel in my mind is like Hugh Jackman from Logan. He would have been perfect Joel. And then I can't remember what's the little bear or whatever her name is from Game of Thrones. I can't remember. Bella Ramsey.
Ormond.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bella Ramsey as Ellie did a great job too. I think
Mm.
she is a little more. How do I want to say this? A little more in your face than she is in the actual game. She becomes a little bit more like that in the second game. So I think they took a lot from that. But yeah, I think they did a great job, and it was really also cool to see some of the voice actors come back. You know, we got Joel's voice actor played a major character in one of the later parts of the story. And there's a lot of them. Tommy's voice actors in there. It was cool to see that.
Ellie's voice actor played her
Really?
mom.
Which is awesome. Yeah, it's cool to see that. I prefer that, taking the voice actor and just making a character off of it versus like Nolan North in Uncharted, where he's just like on the beach. It's just like a cameo thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's cooler to just have them play a totally different character, which is cool. So
Yeah.
I loved it. Sorry, that was long-winded for a.
No, it's all cool. It's all cool.
good.
Derpy says season 2 may fix fans for someone that familiar to the game. Okay, I think there's a few typos. Haven't played that part, but know the events and stories of part 2. Yes. We will definitely be getting into that.
Yes, we will.
Dad, what are your thoughts? Having not really like played through the game entirely, just kind of coming in with very limited knowledge based on that.
Right.
Actually, first, did you try playing the game like before the show came out, or was that like after the show came out? You're like, let's try.
Well, the show just like put that in me to want to play it because I wanted to see the story like the original, like how they did it. Just playing as Joel sounds awesome to me. So, especially after seeing some of the scenes with him going nuts. So that was triggered by the show to want
Okay.
to play the game.
So you started the show with no real knowledge of the story or
Total outsider. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think of the series as an outsider?
I freaking loved it. I mean, it grabbed me right away. Characters great, so well done. Yeah, I loved every bit of it. So
Awesome. Obviously, like we've talked about narrative in gaming a lot on the podcast. So if you're a familiar face around here, you'll know that we've talked about this story quite a bit in gaming and how impactful it is or was to the gaming industry, and I think still is. But to see such a faithful adaptation from game to show, or you could even say movie, I think this is probably the best or one of the best adaptations of game into anything on screen. Excuse me. To see the story keep that serious tone and like the actual meat of the story not be changed and tinkered with like you see in all video game adaptations,
Right.
Which boggles my mind because it's most of the time the games they are picking to adapt generally have cool stories. So why not
Right.
just stick to the cool story that everyone
Yeah.
already loves.
right.
But Chad, like you said, again with the events of the game being a little like hazy to me since it's been so long since I've played, the things that I noticed stuck out as being new. I agree with you. I think it added a lot instead of taking away from the story or being a distraction to the story or anything. I thought it was cool to see. Oh, it was so cool to see some of the environments from the game recreated.
Yes.
I mean, some of them,
So good.
some of
dude.
those set
Yeah.
pieces are like an item for item like
Right.
recreation.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So that was amazing to see, and I feel like Pedro really captured the essence of Joel. It took me a few episodes to get behind Bella as Ellie, and I think it's just that the brashness, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
She does come off very, very in your face. And another thing, I didn't watch any of the post episode things until after the finale last night.
Oh, you should have watched them, man. They're all really
mainly
good.
because I kind of forgot, and then I was like,
Yeah.
if there's any post credit things, and there wasn't. But then there's that, and I was like, oh yeah, it's HBO. They do this for every episode. I should have watched it.
Yeah.
But hearing Bella Ramsey talk,
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
dude.
well,
Jarring. Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I did
Really?
not expect that accent, and yeah, man, the way she pulls off Ellie is like it's a whole other person.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy. That always blows my mind. Like it's got to be hard to act, period, but to act in a totally different accent, like, dude, that's got to be absurd.
Yeah.
And especially for her, I think she's like, she can't be more than 18 years old, I think, if she's even 18. So it's crazy that that she was able to pull it off so well, that the English accent that she's got going on there, American accent rather.
So what accent does she have? Where's she from?
She has like a UK accent, I think.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure where she's from.
Yeah, that always blows me away when someone with a British accent has
Yeah,
an American
English
accent.
English accent.
So like,
she is 20 years old,
20. Oh wow.
which
Wow.
Okay.
is older than I thought.
Much older than I thought.
yeah,
I think the problem for me is that she will like always forever be ingrained in my mind as little Lady Mormont from Game of Thrones. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So she's always
yeah,
in that age.
she's from England.
England.
Yeah, so I thought the characters were cool. I loved the cameos or the voice actors playing other characters. I think Troy Baker showed up twice. Or they got somebody who looked just like Troy Baker. In the episode they're heading to Tommy's and they get like caught by the people on horseback with the dog. I
Yeah.
could have sworn one of those guys was Troy Baker.
Oh,
And
really?
then-
I don't know. I know for
and then, of
sure
course,
he was.
he's
Yeah.
James, I believe, is his name there in the last the penultimate episode, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, of course, Ashley Johnson as Ellie's mother. I loved. So I take it you watched all the post episode things. I loved how she was talking about like, her being Ellie. This is Ashley talking her, being the voice of Ellie and like birthing that character, and then what the character means to her, and then
That's
she
pretty cool.
literally like gave birth to Ellie in the
To Ellie,
show.
yeah.
So it was like
really cool, man,
it was
yeah.
like really really cool hearing her talk about that and what it meant, and I loved that. It was super cool.
Yeah.
So from here on, we'll probably get into spoiler territory. So if you haven't watched the series yet, this is your spoiler warning. Come back after you've seen it, or if you don't care, feel free to stick around and hear us spoil the crap out of season 1. So
Can I add something real fast?
Yeah.
So being an outsider watching the show without playing the game, I feel like with how they pulled the show off, I feel like it could stand on its own, even if it weren't for the game. Like they just did it so well.
I
Like,
agree. Yeah.
Everything was done so well. Like I loved it. So like, yeah. That's all.
Yeah, there's not, the cool thing about this is outside of most game adaptations, there's a lot of stuff in game adaptations, movies or TV shows where you get much more out of it if you play the game, like Arcane, for example. I'm sure I would have got way more out of that if I knew anything about League of Legends.
Sure.
And this series is not like that. You don't
No.
like everybody that at work that watched it, like none of them have played the game outside like a couple of them,
Yep.
and they all loved it.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of that in there. Everything that it wants to give you, it gives you in the series, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. And I guess even though I said spoiler warning, so hopefully if anyone who hasn't seen the show is still around, here, this is how you can win this amazing Darius figure here. There's a picture of it on our YouTube community page, trying to get no glare on the screen there, which is kind of hard. So go check it out, or our Twitter if you want to see what it looks like. Here is how you can win Darius, okay? Leave a comment after we go live. So when this video is this episode is a video on our YouTube channel and it's no longer a live stream, leave a comment. The first person to comment what my favorite LCS team is, I will give you a hint They
I don't
won
even know
the
that
spring
one.
finals. Okay. They just won the spring finals. So if you know how to use Google, you can type in who won LCS spring finals 2023. Or you can listen to me tell you my favorite team right now. It's Cloud9. Cloud9, one of the greatest North American League of Legends teams.
Wait,
in the
did
world.
you just give the answer?
Yes, I gave you the answer because listen, you got to wait until this video is no longer live. Leave a comment
Yes.
saying my favorite LCS team.
And don't
which
go to
is-
the videos tab because it won't be in there. Go to the home tab.
That was a whole thing. Yes, all of our videos are live streamed. Therefore, they are not in YouTube's eyes videos. So if you are trying to find any past videos of ours, going to the video tab will not be helpful for you. The only videos that are uploaded to the video tab are videos that were pre-recorded that got uploaded later. Ready, you're right. It is Cloud9, but
you
you
didn't
have to
follow the
wait
rules.
until the live stream is over and leave a comment. But yeah, Cloud9, greatest North American LCS team. There's your answer. Leave a comment after the episode is no longer live. First person.
Since
I
we're
will
totally
reach
off
out.
on a tangent here, I beat Dead Space. Finally.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Great
saw
game.
you
Yes.
posting videos in
Yeah,
Discord, so I was
phenomenal.
like, he must have
Yeah.
beat it.
I beat it. Finally got to watch it. I've been waiting to watch that video for so long. And then I started Callisto Protocol, which is his new game that he made.
Nice.
That Glenn, whatever his name is.
You
Okay.
need to-
Anyway.
did you
Very-
watch the Gingy videos yet?
Oh no, I do need to watch
You
the.
need to watch that one. He has one
yeah.
for Dead Space Trilogy, so I guess you
then-
can only watch through the first game.
Yeah.
And then after you beat Callisto, you can watch that because
Oh, he has one for that. Oh, sweet. Okay.
So our next
awesome.
episode should be Chad's
Chad Space.
Chad Space. Him, reviewing Dead Space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Oh my gosh, Nick's in the comments.
Yo, Nick.
He said, "Yo, Chad, you completely ignored my at you and what's watching channel on Discord.
No, my
Oh.
bad, bro.
Hurts.
I apologize.
It hurts deep.
Sorry, bro. Sorry, bro. Okay, so Cloud9 LCS my favorite LCS team. Comment
Yes.
after the video is live. You can win this Darius. Okay, so I think now we're in spoiler territory. So I think what makes this show work, regardless of the game, is the story, obviously, and what makes the story so interesting, because the premise is your almost typical tropey apocalyptic, like here's these weird zombie things, even though they're not zombies. The world is over. There's a few survivors. What makes this story so engaging and relatable and intriguing is like Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann said, it's really a story of love, right? Like
Yeah.
both the good and the bad side, like
Right.
what love will make a person do. And like it's so fascinating to put yourself in the shoes of Joel through this story, because we've talked about this too. Like Joel, kind of a scumbag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
for sure.
exactly the best person. I played the game 2013. Yeah, so before I was a father, and still was very like emotionally drained and conflicted
dude.
by the ending.
Yeah.
I still think I would have done what Joel did. And we can get into that
Yeah.
in
What?
a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Looking back on it now, when I beat The Last of Us the very first time, I was like, dude, he is the most despicable character I've ever played in a video game. I mean, he screwed over the entire human race to save a surrogate child. And the thing about it is, when I played it the second time, I picked up a lot more notes, and they hint a lot that this is not going to work. Like whatever they're going to do to Ellie, it's not going to work.
Oh wow.
So if you read that stuff, if you miss it, it just looks like he's just disgracing the human race and moving on with his child. But if
Yeah.
you read that stuff, it makes a lot more sense.
But
They did an amazing job of like blurring the line
yeah.
for both scenarios to where
Yeah.
like really if you do either you feel crappy.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's the point, is like it's a morally ambiguous
Yes.
type deal. Like
Absolutely.
there's not really a win in this.
Yeah.
However, a buddy of mine and I got into this conversation at work, and we're all dads, right? So I know that Ellie wasn't his kid, but towards the end, he started caring for her like legit.
Yeah.
You guys can't tell me that you wouldn't go back for your kid. Like, you wouldn't have done the same thing. Like,
Oh, I totally would have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's no
Absolutely.
way that I would have been able to. I probably would have died right away. But
Yeah.
I would have at
The
least
thing-
tried.
The thing about it is, at least for me, it's the actual surgery room where it becomes like absurd because you basically murder through like all those doctors and stuff that you don't really need to. And I can't
Yeah.
remember in the show if he even does that. I think he
He shoots the
He shoots
shoots the
surgeon.
doctor. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So not only does he like
That was probably
take
a
the
little too
cure,
far.
but
Yeah.
he literally kills the person that knows how to make the
Yeah.
cure.
Yeah. So we could talk about this all day. I think, like I said, it depends on your engagement with the game. If you're reading those stuff, you're a lot less likely to believe that it's going to work for them to do that to Ellie at the end of the game versus not reading any of it and just assuming that you're just going to murder everybody because you want your daughter back.
Well,
And
in Joel's defense, from the very like the first time like they get out, they get past the wall and they encounter that guard, he just sees red.
yeah. And I think
I feel like that's the same thing that happened in the end.
Yeah, I think it
Yes.
is because I think it's cool to see because Joel and can't remember his daughter's name, Sarah, are totally different children. Like Sarah's super sweet and helpful, and Ellie's very abrasive and over the top. But it's cool to see that I think he's correcting the mistake from the beginning of the game and the beginning of the show where he let Sarah die. So I totally get it. I totally get it. But I just still in the back of my mind, I'm like, dude, what a scumbag. You know what I mean?
It's
What
a
a
little
scumbag.
it's a little too far. Yeah.
Right.
So Civ said a few minutes ago, has the show stayed close to the game? And we will definitely get into the similarities and where it differed as we dig through the story here. And he also said, I tried multiple times not to kill the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember if I tried not to when I played through. I distinctly remember going in there and just like blowing him away and then feeling like a monster.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I needed to get Ellie. When I beat this game, I still stand by this. Like I said earlier, it was the most emotionally exhausting thing I've ever been through. And at the time, it could still be argued today too, that this could hold true, but better than like 80% of movies or shows that you watch. And it's a game.
agree.
And like we talked about in our narrative gaming episode, the beautiful thing about the medium of gaming is it puts you as an active participant in the story instead of just a passive viewer or consumer of the story. So you have to roll your sleeves up and get your hands dirty and like move the story forward, and it connects you even more with the story.
And I will say that I do feel like the series loses a little bit of its emotionalness. Is that a word? I just made it up. We're gonna roll with it.
Sure.
Because of that. Because in the game, the giraffe scene like made me bawl like a freaking baby.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I still to this day I don't know what it was, but I think it's because of what happened directly prior to that giraffe scene is one of the darkest moments of the game where you deal with the cannibals. But you're going through that together with Ellie and Joel, and you're bouncing back and forth as Joel's trying to get to her and save her, and she's trying to survive. Masterful way of doing a game. It's difficult to do that in a show, but I feel like they didn't really even try to do it in the show. You know what I mean? They didn't try to bounce back and forth and show that. And I think that's really going to hurt season 2 because there is a moment at the beginning of the first game or the second game that mimics that scene where they're trying to get to each other. So, yeah, I don't know, dude. I was just happy to see the giraffe. I was happy to see that the giraffe was not CGI, which I was so excited for. It's an actual giraffe.
Yeah,
I was so
all
happy.
of them.
Well, I don't know if the ones in the background are.
Yeah, they got 13 giraffes for the
13
show.
giraffes. Yeah, I know the one that they're feeding is real.
They
I
go
don't
to
know
the
about ones in
zoo.
back.
Hey,
yeah,
we need 13 giraffes.
yeah.
To the back and forth thing, there were a couple times off the top of my head that I feel like they focused on Ellie and then went to Joel, like the part where right after he had got stabbed, she went out and
Yep.
did all the stuff that she
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, in the game that all happens.
Yeah,
pretty
and you
simple.
play as Ellie during that time.
and
Right.
that's what was going through my mind while I was watching. That would be sweet if you were playing as her, and
And
like the part where she gets captured
Yeah.
and deals with what's
Yeah.
his face?
Yeah.
David.
Yep.
That part was amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
they
good.
continue that gameplay mechanics all through that part. And what makes it so intense
like
in
that.
the game is when you wake up as Joel and you realize she's gone, and like that whole interrogation scene is in the game where he like stabs the dude in the
Yep.
leg, and
Dude,
I mean that's
Identical. Yeah, it's almost
almost
word for word.
yeah,
I think.
that's
Uh,
awesome.
so he figures out where she's kept, and he's still not 100%, and you're like stumbling around in this like whiteout blizzard going through their little settlement.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ellie's like trying to escape, and then she's trapped in the diner, and you just keep switching back and forth. And
That's cool.
we'll just talk about this now since we're at that part. The one thing that I was sad about that they changed from the game, at least to my memory, I could be misremembering, but that part where she is, going to town on David's face or whatever, I wish that, because I swear in the game, Joel comes into the diner at that point and kind of like grabs her off of him.
Yes.
Like,
Mm.
like he didn't get there in time to save her, but she didn't need saved anyways. But he's there to like witness what's happening and like kind of stop her and like comfort her there, which I thought emotionally is way more impactful than her
Meeting
coming
outside.
out of the diner and him being like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Ellie?"
Yeah. I think that I'm happy with the way that whole storyline panned out. I think aesthetically, I know it's very difficult to probably mimic a blizzard, but I think aesthetically for that scene, at least in the game, is very important that there's a blizzard,
Mhm.
because when you get to the town with Ellie, it's really not a blizzard. And then when you take over as Joel, it's a whiteout. So you're like picking pieces of buildings. Like I think that's where I was with Ellie, but I can't quite tell if that's the right spot. So I know that it's hard. It probably would have been very challenging to do a blizzard in that scene, but I think it would have, that and bouncing back and forth between them maybe a little bit more to show how he was trying to get to her and everything that was going on in the background, I think could have been done a little bit better.
Yeah.
But
back to the just the overall story thing. Now watching and remembering the story as a father, I still would do what Joel did at the end of the game. And I don't remember if I read all the notes or not in the game, but just watching the show, thinking about the whole scenario logically, like what information was revealed that this doctor had any idea like
Right.
what he was doing. Like,
yeah, exactly.
immediately the first thing is life-ending brain surgery. You can't
Right.
like try to do something with her blood. Like if I was Joel, just thinking through my own mind here, like I get this news, I'm like, has this guy done any testing on literally anything? No, this is the first person that's ever been known to be immune. Why would I let him just
Yeah.
kill her? Like
Right.
in just a like percentile chance that maybe he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. I think that it
Can we try a few more things
Yeah,
before we
right.
get to
Yeah,
that
we'll do some more
point?
testing, please. Can we maybe get another doctor in here for a
Yeah,
second
Get a
opinion?
second opinion. Yeah.
So I think the decision itself makes sense, but I think what it's really there for, even though it's very violent and some people don't agree with it, I think it's to show the growth of Joel through the game. If the trip had taken 2 days, he would have dropped her off and not gave two shits about coming back for her, because he was not, he was a smuggler. He's just smuggling. This is like a piece of contraband that he's smuggling.
Mhm.
But as the story goes on and on and on, he grows closer to her. So I think it is important that he goes back there. I just, maybe wouldn't have murdered everybody in the surgical room.
Yeah, maybe
Who
not
may be the
doctor,
last
especially-
doctors.
Yeah,
in the
especially
world.
when he just like tries to stop you with a scalpel.
Right.
Just
Like,
smack it out of his
yeah,
hand and
knock
kick
him
him
out
in
or
the
something.
shin and then
Yeah,
grab
he's a
Ellie.
doctor.
Come on.
Yeah, he's a doctor.
We need those.
Yeah. But yeah, and just even like logistically, okay, so even if this was able to be a cure, how do you like multiply it and hand it out to everyone?
Oh,
when
there's so many,
society's
yeah.
literally already in the can. Like,
There's so many questions there,
yeah.
dude, because even though the zombies in this series aren't technically zombies, right? I don't know if they're dead because I watched there's actually, and I talked about it, I think, on an episode. There's a really good, I think, Planet Earth video about cordyceps and what it does to ants. And it's as horrifying as what's shown in the shows. It just doesn't happen to humans yet, keyword. Because it can't survive in the temperature of our body, but it's adapting.
It does.
It's adapting because of global warming. So we're maybe a little bit closer to this than people think. But yeah, I think it would be very difficult to take any kind of cure, wrestle up the clickers and the bloaters and like try to inject them. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Maybe like a vaccine for the rest of the people that didn't get infected, that maybe makes sense, but a cure, not happening, bro.
Because
Like,
if it's a cure, you're gonna have to get to them like right now.
Right.
It happens
Yeah.
fast.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, distracted.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I don't think it would have been any benefit at that point.
No, I
Yeah.
don't think it is either.
Being how many years past the
Oh yeah, it's 20
original
something years, I
infection?
think. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 20 something years, maybe longer. Man, that mic really picks up a lot of. Okay. There's a shadow whispering back there.
Yep. Hopefully you don't hear Milo scratching at his cage. We're washing our floors upstairs, so when that happens,
gotcha.
he comes and stays in his little travel crate down
Yeah.
here because he cannot be trusted around kid toys or wires. Yeah, so yeah, it's just the logistics of that whole thing are just yeah, I think I would have done the same thing. The
it's
interesting thing though is when she asks him like after the fact, point blank, like so did everything you told me on the way here again, just like the game, like that whole end.
Okay.
Actually, man, well, okay, no, we'll get into that after this point. But like for me, until I watched the after the episode thing, that was still kind of a like a Inception dreidel or totem spinning thing. Like, did it fall or is it still up? Like, did she believe him or like is she just going along with it? Like, she does believe him. And then they said after the episode, they're like, yeah, no, she doesn't believe him, but she's just like, okay.
Right.
But that whole question and answer of like, did you lie to me? And he's like, I swear. And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
Even in the episode, I was like, I don't know. Does she actually believe him or is she just kind of going along with it?
Yeah. I don't think there's any way.
I didn't have that feeling that she believed him.
No, I didn't. I didn't get that feeling. I didn't get that feeling in the game, and I definitely didn't get it in the series. She said prior to like he wanted to be like, let's just go back to Jackson and forget all this. It might have been the draft scene actually around that time. And she's like, no, because everything that we went through would be worthless. I mean, everything that we just went through. So it's going to be a piece of contention between them from now on. But I think that's even crappier that he lied to her about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Let me ask another question. Having not played the second game, they may discuss this. They may not. If she knew that the only way that, the cure or whatever could be made is if she died, do you think she would still be down with that or?
Yeah, I think
probably.
I think she definitely would be, just because it's been her end goal from the get. And let's be honest, it's not an enjoyable world to live in, right?
Right.
Like you don't necessarily
What are
want to
you
be alive
talking
in this world.
about? She
So-
can just run around like no cares, man. She's immune.
So yeah, I think that I can't remember if they touch on that in the second game. It has been a while since I played the second game. I played it at launch. I don't think it's a major part of the story per se. It might be touched on briefly in the beginning of the game, but things kind of take a different turn than most people thought they were going to go with the second game. So I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. Because I mean, if she wanted that, then that is pretty crappy.
Yeah.
To rob that from
Yeah.
her and from the world.
I mean, you have to
even-
assume that she'd be fine with it. I mean, she has to
Yeah,
know in some
yeah.
capacity that that's going to happen, and we don't even know. It might have been told to her. We don't know because she goes off screen, and then we just really focus on Joel even in the game.
That's true. That's true.
So-
Man, I don't know. Still, I think that would be so hard. But I'm also thinking like of my actual child, and
Yeah,
I
but-
know that she's not his legitimate child, but like he definitely sees her as that.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
if
man, I
you're
don't know,
if
it's
you're
hard. It's rough.
if you're 18 years old, 20 years old, whatever, and you have no family tie, you have no family whatsoever, and you have the cure to something that's killing millions of people, I mean, would you not make the same decision? I would.
Yeah, but
Well,
isn't she like 14 in the game or something?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
might be. I mean, even more.
I would say to that, like, I don't think she really understands what it would take to do that because she didn't even know, like, if her blood going into
Right. Yeah.
Sam's leg or whatever was going to heal him or not. She had no idea what it was
Yeah.
going to take.
Yeah.
So maybe she wouldn't be. Who knows?
Yeah, and the fact that they didn't allude to any of that on screen, I think, is another great choice on their part because, man, I think all story writers can take a note here. Some of the best story mechanics, I guess, we'll keep in the game lingo here,
Yeah.
are when you leave these morally gray questions and situations unknown, because that's how you get people to talk about your story.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
But it's also what makes stories fun and engaging, even though this isn't a fun story, but it makes it fun to engage in a story like this because we all have slightly varying opinions and it's fun to talk about that. And the fact that they don't give you a direct answer, I think is even better because as like everyone hates hand holding in games, I hate hand holding in storytelling. So
right.
don't make the decision for me. Leave the decision up for me to make on my own.
Yeah.
But a lot
I mean,
of
it
people
gets
don't really. Like that.
yeah, that gets contentious because that's how The Sopranos ended, with a very controversial ending like that, which is basically like make up your own mind of what happened. So a lot of people hate that. I personally grew to love it after they ended that series, so I enjoy that a lot, and I think The Last of Us, even in the game, does that really well. Not giving you all the answers to everything that you want, all your questions answered.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about something that I was not a huge fan of in the show, and something I brought up in Discord a while back, and was viciously attacked by one of our Discord. No, I'm just kidding. I was not. Just a misunderstanding or something. I think telling the story of the entire first game in 9 episodes at times felt a wee rushed. I think I also think taking 2 seasons to tell this story would be a bit too stretched out and probably have too much filler. What I wish, perfect scenario, like if they could go back and redo this, I would say hit us with a 12 episode first season.
Yes.
Add 3 more episodes on there and spend just a little more time in some of these really intense moments of the game.
Yeah.
The one that really sticks out in my mind is the university.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot more to the university than the 30 seconds that we were there in the show.
Yeah.
And specifically how Joel gets like impaled by
Totally
like,
different. Yeah.
rebar thing,
really?
and how like Ellie and him are trying to escape. In the game, he's like fading in and out of consciousness, kind of like he was in the show, but you're controlling him and he's trying to get Ellie out, and then all of a sudden like he just goes out, and then you wake up and you're Ellie hunting rabbits in the snow or something.
Yeah.
And in the game, that moment was super intense. Not to mention all the like clickers and bloaters and other things in the university that were also going on. Things like that.
I agree. Yeah.
Or there's another one. It's Frank or Bill. Which one?
Bill is the
Bill.
the one that,
and Frank was his partner.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bill's town there in the game also was a lot more intense. Because in the series it did get intense, but it wasn't intense with Joel and Ellie there, which would have been really cool to see in the show. I think they handled that like pretty good in the series, but I think spending a little more time there with Joel and Ellie could have been cool too.
Yeah, so I think, and this is kind of where Bio gets his answer, where they kind of split off from the story. Bill and Frank's story isn't not even remotely close to what happens in the game, not even close. But that being said, I hate to say it, but I absolutely love the Bill and Frank episode of this. I thought it was freaking super emotional story. The thing that I'm missing there is there's a lot of really good Bill and Ellie moments in the game where they're bickering back and forth that we totally missed here. Then that's also the first time you see a bloater in the gymnasium of Bill's like high school in the town there. So yeah, it's a lot more intense. I think it could have been really cool if they maybe spliced that episode maybe into 2 episodes or half and half, tell that story of how Frank died, keep Bill alive, and then, have Bill take Ellie and Joel through the town like he does in the game. Because that's really essentially what happens. And I think a lot of people have an issue with them making Bill and Frank gay. It's implied in the game that they're gay.
Pretty much said in the game.
It's said in the game that they're gay. So I loved what they did there. That's probably one of the best changes from a video game to a series or movie that I've ever seen that actually panned out well. I just missed the Bill and Ellie stuff, which is really cool.
I think it was good because it added a lot of the implied context that came from the game. Though again, I kind of wish that it just was so much more impactful coming across Frank's body,
right,
the way you do in the game than what. And again, like that episode is really good.
Yeah. So he dies totally different in the game as well. In the game, he ends up going into the town and getting bitten, and then I think he hangs himself in one of the houses.
Yeah.
So totally different there. But
that's different.
Like I said, it's hard because I like what they did so much in the show that I can't hate it on. It's kind of like the spores thing. Like spores do not exist in the series, and I get why they don't. It doesn't really make any sense that spores would be isolated in a location like they are in the game. It's a very gamey thing. And then also you don't want to have your actors in gas masks through a large
Pedro's probably like, I am not wearing any sort of helmet or mask anymore. Okay.
Yeah, right. And I think what they did, they changed to those like tendril things instead. And I think those things are way more horrifying than anything in the game, man. Like so horrifying.
Yeah, for sure. Things that and again, like even though I'm talking about these things, like I love the series, and I'm not like you said, I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying that if I could go back and do things a little differently, this is what I would do. So a few moments felt rushed, though, where I wish they would have stayed, spent a little more time from in-game events and locations. The things that I thought they really captured well from the game, though, that museum in like the second or first episode, I forget which episode it was. Second. That was almost like scene for scene recreation.
Except for Tess, though, right?
That the way she went out was a little different.
Is it different?
It's kind of similar, but
I think it's similar. I don't think
it gets.
I think she blows the building up. Does she blow the building up in the series, or does she go out in a gunfight in the series?
she
Series
blows
is
the building up,
She
Okay,
has
so
the lighter and
and
I
it's
think
with
yeah.
infected, and I think in the game it's
Oh, yeah,
Firefly.
You're right.
shootout.
You're right. Yeah, it's Fedra comes.
Fedra,
and,
there you go.
Yep. Yeah, you're right there. I totally forgot about the infected part. Yeah, that is very different because it's a shootout with Fedra, and you kind of escape through the same building in the game as well.
Mhm.
So you hear their shootout, which is really hard to hear because you spend a lot of time with Tessa in the first quarter of the game. So
I was gonna say, doesn't she make it to Bill's?
No, she dies
No.
where she dies in the show. It's just a
Oh,
different
it's the same.
way.
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
it's just a little. They. I think the reason there is they wanted to show the like hive mind thing that they have going on,
Which was really cool.
Which is really cool. I always enjoy the hive mind stuff. So, that was cool. And then that again, one of the grossest scenes in the series is Tess getting those tendrils down her throat.
Making out with it.
It's so gross.
Yeah. Another character though that I thought they like really captured the essence of Tess from the game. They did a good job.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I like Tess.
Yeah, I loved the giraffe scene. Obviously, it's like my favorite thing from the game. And I think you're right, Chad. Like just the way where it's placed, like you're pretty beaten down and scarred as the player from what you just went through, and then you just walk along and you see a beautiful giraffe. And I did like, I don't know if I like cried, but I did. My eyes definitely got like all watery for sure.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, this.
Yeah, dude, I don't know.
It's just like the beauty of a majestic animal like a giraffe in like a complete like apocalypse, like destroyed city.
Yeah.
And then what I think they do so well in the game, and then they carry that over into the show, is the use of the music and like the tone of the music and the instruments they use in the music is so good. And then you get to that part and it's just like the music's beautiful, and but it still has that like earthy, like earthy and metallic are two different things, but like I think if you hear the music, you know what I'm talking about. Just like they capture that same sound of and tone of all the like serious and intense parts of the music, but they're playing like a beautiful melody in the same tone, which is very, very cool musically. And then you just throw that in with the giraffe and then like all that stuff, and what the characters are finally like having a respite there, and they're like, oh wow, Ellie's never seen a giraffe in her life, and now she's feeding one.
It's
like,
it's like
crazy.
she gets a small break to actually be a kid for once in this super dark story that we're telling. And I do, like I said earlier, I think it is very important that scene comes directly after the cannibal scene, because that is very, very dark. It gets very dark in that scene, or that storyline rather. But I don't know, dude. I don't know what it is about the giraffes. I'm not a very emotional guy. It takes a lot to get me to cry. The giraffes get me there every time. The end of Interstellar gets me there every single time. I don't know what it is about those two, man. They just they tickle those tear ducts in my eyes for whatever reason.
It's the allergies.
It's the allergies for sure. Mine have been flaring up here the last couple of days in Northeast Ohio, and I haven't even mowed the grass yet, and I'm quite sad.
It's a rough life.
I've been like knuckle deep in my eye sockets, just rubbing away.
Dude, I'm like rubbing my eyes just because you're talking about it.
Just thinking about it,
just thinking about it. To your point, Mike, about the show like feeling rushed and whatnot. Like I felt like it was good. Like pacing was fine. I just wanted more. Like I just wanted more of the story. Like, and I'm kind of bummed that like we only get one more season. Like, I mean, I don't know if that's true, but
it's not.
You know okay.
Yeah, they're gonna get from what I hear, the second game, which is significantly, maybe even twice as long as the first game, is going to get 2 seasons. I believe.
Okay.
I'd be curious to see though after that if they continue telling any stories or they wait for a third iteration of the game, which we don't know is coming. I don't think it's coming. I think they moved on to something else. So I'll be interested to see because the show is very popular.
Yeah.
And we'll see if that popularity carries over after the second and third season. There's a chance it might not. I think it will. But yeah, I agree with the 12 episode thing. I think it would have been good. I don't think we needed to waste any time on Left Behind, to be honest with you. I never played Left Behind, the DLC, so I can't remember what it's like, episode 8 or 7 maybe, where we're in the mall
like
with
the
Ellie
mall
and
thing.
I mean, it's
Oh,
you see how Ellie gets bit and that her friend, all that stuff happens, but that could have been a 10-minute flashback. It didn't need to be a whole episode, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, I think just the pacing is good. I just think they left out some things that would just show the bond of Joel and Ellie growing more. Not that it particularly needed more, but I would have liked more.
Yeah, right.
And there's just seeing how well they executed a lot of the game to show scenes. I would have just loved to see more of that.
Yeah,
because there is a lot more that they left out from the game that I think
for sure, dude. And it
wasn't
one of the
like,
big things. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the things I'm talking about aren't like gameplay elements. It's like they just left out chunks of story.
Yeah.
That they could have used to continue to build what they were telling.
Yeah.
Leaving it out didn't take anything away necessarily, but they could have just
It would have added
stronger. Yeah.
It would have added a lot. Yeah, I think that especially, and I can't remember Sam and whatever his brother's name is. Henry. When they go down into the like sewers and they see that like society that's wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's in the sewers where you meet the stalkers for the first time, which are not in the show at all, which I thought was shocking because you see a lot of them in the game, and those are the ones that like attack you from the shadows and scurry away. They're kind of like clickers. They're not blind. They just attack you from behind. But I was thinking there is a sequence in the second game with the stalkers, which is probably one of the most horrifying sequences I've ever played in a game. So I'm thinking that's where they're going to introduce them. Dude, it's horrifying. And it plays out totally organically as you're in this office building. And it's so good,
That's
dude.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Now, granted, because it plays out organically, your playthrough of that might be totally different than mine. Mine was freaking horrifying. Like I was just like barely missing them with my shadows, and they're like crawling up into the vents and stuff. It was so good, dude. I wish I had it recorded because
That
I was like,
sounds
this is so good.
Nice. I thought the hospital scene in the last episode, they did a fantastic job capturing that intensity that I remember feeling playing through that. And I was so stress is a great word. Playing through that, like I'm remembering now. I'm like, oh, I gotta hurry up, even though there's not a timer. I'm like, because I'm so invested in the story. I'm like, I gotta hurry. There literally is no timer in the game, but I'm like
totally
running
invested
through, and gunning, like just making my way up to the surgical room.
Yeah, it's cool the way they do it in the game too, because in the game, it's the first time that you get the like machine gun, like the M16 is in that sequence. And the game is a survival horror game, so ammo is very hard to come by.
Right.
But you don't really, at least when I play that sequence, I don't spend any time crafting anything. I'm just blowing everybody away because you're picking these guns up. So they're placed there for a purpose. You know what I mean? Which I think is so cool.
I love they like showing him like just picking up guns and ammo off the people that he has slain. But yeah, everything from that sequence getting to the surgical room, what happens in the surgical room, exactly like the game. Like even the doctor grabbing the scalpel, like it's literally like exactly to going down the elevator into the parking garage, the whole thing with Marlene, everything that happens there. I mean, Like
Yeah, so
everything
good,
from
dude.
that moment to the end of the episode, it's like just watching people act out the game, which is
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
Just do that.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. If we got more of that, we'd be better off. Yeah, I think that whole sequence is awesome. I think the score in that sequence is really good too. It's a
Mm.
very haunting score as he's plowing his way through the hospital. So I was really happy with the way I felt like it did go by very quickly in the
Mm.
show, but that like by the time we got to episode 8, which is the cannibals and David and all of that, I'm like, dude, we have one more episode. Like, there's a lot to get through in one more episode. Like, we haven't seen the giraffes yet. We got to go through all this stuff. I'm like, but this is getting tight, and and it really started to feel it after. And let me look because I think Left Behind was 7. So by the time I got done with 7, it was like that was kind of a waste of time, bro. Like I didn't really need to see a whole episode on how Ellie got bit and how her friend died. It's irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think maybe leaving that out would have gave them a little bit more play, and then 9 episodes might have worked perfectly if they literally left behind and just forgot about it. 'cause it's
Literally left
yeah.
it behind.
Yeah.
From what you guys have been saying about what was left out of the game, it would have added like even more. Like, I would have loved to see like more infected or like.
Yeah, that
I was
yeah,
just
dude.
looking up the Rat King. Is that from the first game?
The Rat King. I don't remember.
He's freaking gnarly.
So that's the thing that I hear a lot of people, I don't want to say complaining about, but this really isn't a zombie show, dude. There's very little infected here, and I think that's done well. I think we get enough infected. It's not really about the outbreak. It's not really about the apocalypse. It's about the story of Joel and Ellie. They just happen to live in this world.
Mm-hmm.
So I was fine with the amount of infected that we got, and I think like the clickers were awesome, dude. They got the same voice actors from the game, so they sound identical. The bloater was cool. That whole sequence at the end of that story is so good, dude.
The part where he rips the dude's head off, I guess that was part of the game, wasn't it? Someone was telling me about that. I can't remember.
The Rat King is Last of Us 2.
Okay. All right.
Say it again. Yeah. So yeah, and that is actually Tommy's voice actor that gets his head ripped off there. But if you get caught by a bloater in the game, he rips your jaw open like that. So it was like, and it's like I don't want to say it's off screen, but it's like in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, the Leonardo DiCaprio, they did the thing. They did the thing.
That whole part where Joel was in the building with the gun picking off the whatever they were.
Yeah.
As Ellie was trying to get to Henry and Sam, that part was so good.
Yeah. It's as good in the game, dude.
And the thing that happens with Sam and Henry is almost identical to the game. And again, like,
so rough.
Where did I see this from? Somebody was talking about that. How the transition in game from Sam is the young one, Henry's the old one. So when Henry blows his brains out, it just goes to black, and then you're like walking towards the dam or something, or the power plant or whatever. And so like they just gloss over everything. But in the game, like tonally, it works amazing because like I don't just
it's like the not giving you all the answers you want thing. Yeah.
But it's also like and like unseen tension still between them because like she just witnessed a truly horrific thing in front of her. So again, they changed that in the show, but I think it was equally as good. The way they handled like burying them and like leaving the little etch-a-sketch thing. And I'm just like,
it's so good, dude.
That was so intense. That whole part, like that really stuck out to me because she like really bonded with Sam and really cared about him. And brought a little bit of light into his eyes, like a little bit of like they were both scared, but they
another instance where they could be kids.
Yeah. And like again, she tried like helping him. Like
it's another thing that the sewer like chapter in the game does an amazing thing of building. There's so much more of that as you're
Right.
both going through the sewer.
Yep.
But yeah, I
There's
think
a
in the
lot in
trailer
that.
it's still really good.
So in the like room they're at, they nailed that room from the game, dude. Like even the soccer goal and stuff, like a lot, dude. It's jar. If you can look up like side by side images from the show
Yeah.
and the game too, they did such a good job. Even the very beginning of the show, as they're going outside of the wall, there's that building that's leaning up against the other one, straight
Yep.
out of the freaking game. It looks identical to the game,
Yep.
dude. It's
I
so
remember
good.
seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
So-
they panned up and did that, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
holy crap.
But the Sam story, dude, even though it has a really tragic ending, it's so good because those actors are really good. That kid's actually deaf in real life. I
Wow,
don't
that's
think
awesome.
Sam is deaf in the game. I don't think he is.
I
So
don't think so
that's
either.
a small change. But I think it works really well. And you're right about Ellie bonding with him.
Yeah.
They show that very well. And they show kind of Joel bonding with Henry a little bit as well.
Right.
So
oh
it
yeah.
just hits you in the gut when that happens, even in the game, dude. It's
Like
like
when
just so
when she
jarring.
when she wakes up and he's just sitting there. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah,
Here we
Yep.
go. And then he just attacks her.
Yeah.
yeah,
Man. So many good things. Jeez. It's just a fantastic show. And I think I don't know. I'm just happy that it finally happened.
finally happened.
because
Yeah, man.
It's been something that's been
It's been been like a decade. Yeah,
floated
thought.
around in the cinematic rumor mill of a movie or a show for like, since 2014. And we finally got it. And
Yeah, and I'm
Oh,
glad,
so-
and I'm with you too, dude. There's no way a movie would have told this story or gave it any sort of unless it was like 3.5 hours long and very abridged, which is not really what you need in a show. So I'm so glad that they did a
Yeah.
show. I hope that Naughty Dog sees this and is like, oh well, this is obviously the way to do our game
Yeah.
adaptations from now on.
And
So-
it that branches out into a whole separate conversation that we maybe have done an episode on. If not, we should do an episode on. Even if we have already done, we should revisit the whole conversation of the benefits, or what's the word I'm looking for? Preference of telling a story between a series or a movie, because I think the movie side of storytelling is sadly quickly fading to the power of a series.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that it's just so much easier to build characters in a series than it is in a 2-hour movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most of the movies that work really well are with pre-established characters like Captain America or Spider-Man or something
Yeah.
like that, where you already know pretty much the background of the characters. But there are movies that do it really well. I think Interstellar does it really well. I think Inception does it really. Pretty much any Christopher Nolan movie he does really well.
Yeah. Yep.
It's really the type of story you're trying to tell.
Yeah.
And I mean, movies, we have franchises like MCU, which is basically a movie version of a series.
Right. True.
At this
yeah.
point, there's about as many movies as most series have total episodes.
Yeah.
Or smaller terms, and just because I saw the newest one a couple weeks ago, the John Wick franchise, there's like a
Yeah. How was that fourth
franchise.
one? No spoilers because I haven't seen it yet. Was it good?
It was really cool. Here's a funny story. I haven't seen any other movie.
Oh, no.
So I just went because my in-laws were my father-in-law and brother-in-law. They like to go see movies on Tuesdays, and occasionally they toss out an invite. And who am I to say no? Go watch
Yeah.
a movie with the pops-in-law. I had fun, but I think the John Wick story is very comic-y in a way where you could just kind of most superhero comics, you can kind of just like, man, people are probably gonna like try to impale me with pitchforks or something saying this, but I think most superhero comics you can just kind of pick up an issue and kind of know the gist of what's going on and enjoy it. And that's what I felt like with John Wick 4. So we're going to go there for a sec. I have no idea anything about the John Wick story.
Oh, that's such
but
a
watching
bummer.
4, I was like, okay, I think I understand the story. And it was
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah, you need to go back and those movies are one of the exceptions where they just build a really cool world in the movie. Like they don't need a series. They're making a series. They just released the trailer
Mhm.
yesterday for
Continental.
Peacock, the Continental. So
Yeah.
it's just a cool world, dude. It's really, you deserve to watch those first 3 movies. They're
Yeah.
really, really good.
I probably will. My brother-in-law was saying that. Nah, never mind. We won't go there. I don't want to have anyone have preconceived notions going into it.
Yeah.
One way or the other. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I mean, I want to know how much. I mean, I know Keanu Reeves did a lot of like stunt work and stuff, but like, I think he maybe said 25 words.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the words that he did say, someone asked him a question, he'd be like, "Yeah."
Yeah. The Keanu
like-
Reeves. Yeah.
They're like, "Okay."
Yeah, John Wick is a man of very few words for sure.
know, like-
it really holds true through the whole
Man, that's
series.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. I enjoy those movies. I think the stunt work in those movies is really good. Are really good, but you can tell Keanu Reeves is getting older. Like some of the movements, he's not as limber as he
Yeah.
was in the first movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I noticed that a little bit where I'm like, oh yeah, he probably should have stretched a little bit.
Yeah, I that stuck out to me in like the third one, and then the other movie. Have you guys ever seen The Irishman?
Mm-mm.
So it's a mob movie. Martin Scorsese made another mob movie.
Isn't
and
it a couple
came out-
years ago and it's like
Yeah, a
5
couple years
hours
ago.
long or something?
It's like, yeah, it's excessive. It's like 3 hours, three and a half hours long. But De Niro's like in his 80s, I think. And there's a sequence they digitally de-age him. So he's like in his 40s. And there's a scene in there where he beats up like a store worker, but you can tell it's an 80-year-old dude doing it. So it's like, why, if you're going to de-age him, which already takes digital, why would
Yeah.
you not put a young body in there to beat him up?
Right.
Because he's like stepping on the dude's hand, and it's like an 80-year-old stepping on the dude's hand. It's like, that's not doing anything. I don't know why
actually
he's
his
screaming.
walker.
Yeah,
Putting
it's,
his
so,
walker on his
it's so
hand.
awkward looking.
That's great. But yeah, no, I think the series was the perfect form of how to transfer The Last of Us over to the screen. What can we expect in season 2, Chad?
So,
Like, are we picking?
yeah,
Oh, go ahead, Dad.
Ellie playing guitar.
Ellie playing guitar? Yeah, yeah. I think that so. I'll be blunt about The Last of Us 2. I think it's a masterpiece, and that is a very unpopular opinion.
You've said that before.
The unfortunate fact of the matter is that most people read the story beats and never played the game, and they think they have made up their opinion on the game, and that drives me crazy, period. But it certainly drives me crazy when you read 5 story beats of a 30-hour game. Like you're just getting the small little
You're getting
tidbits.
that much.
Yeah, you're getting that much, and it does sound terrible when you get that much. But I think they build a really, really awesome story and a really good humanizing a villain story in The Last of Us Part 2 as well. So I'm expecting that we're going to get a lot of back and forth story in the second season. I don't want to spoil anything whatsoever, but yeah, it's probably not going to go in the direction that you think it's going to go. So whatever you have in your mind, it's probably not what pans out.
I have no
They-
idea.
They
So
have said that Bella Ramsey will continue on as Ellie. I know that there is quite a time jump.
I was
between the
just
two
gonna ask
games.
that.
Do you
Yeah.
do you think they can make Bella appear to match the Ellie of Part 2, or do you think they're gonna tell a little story in between, or like how do you think they're
Yeah, I think they'll be fine with it, because you have to remember that she's 20 and she's playing a 14-year-old in the first series, so they'd easily make her. I don't know how exact time that's jumped between the first and second game, but it's not excessive. I mean, it's not like 20 years or anything. So yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think she can easily play it. It's a much darker. I don't know what to say. It's definitely a much darker story than the first game. There's a lot less
5
hopeful
years.
moments. 5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's not bad.
so
she'll be
she's
like
not
her
even
actual age.
her actual age. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
But even
just,
okay, can I just get like I'm looking at a picture of her right now. Even though she's 20, she's definitely looks like
looks-
she's 14.
She looks
Yeah.
young.
Yeah.
Even
for
in
sure.
her IMDb picture, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah,
That's
Ellie-
cool. You're gonna look young as you age. That's awesome. Good for you. But it's gonna be hard for me to not see you as a 14-year-old.
Right, that's true. Yeah, it depends. It depends when you have to assume this show's not going to start filming for a while. So it'll probably be another year. She'll be a little bit older. Yeah, I think they'll be fine with it. Ellie in the second game is a much more grizzled, worn out Ellie than we see in the first game. So I think they can play with it really well. I'm curious. There were some things that I thought we were going to see at the end of this game that play into the second game, but we didn't. So I was a little shocked there. But you don't see it actually in the first game, so it makes sense that it wasn't there. I just thought they were going to set it up. But yeah, I think it's a hell of a ride, dude. And I think they have every tool in the box to make it a good 2 seasons of a show, because there's a lot that happens. Is there going to be a lot that's probably missed gameplay wise? Yeah, but you could say that about the first game too. But yeah, there's a group of enemies in the second game that whistle to communicate, and it's just very horrifying to stealth through those sections because you don't know what they're saying. They're whistling to each other, and you don't know if they're saying she's over here, she's over there, whatever's going on. So yeah, we'll see. I can't wait to see what they do with it because, like I said, I think it's a masterpiece. And if you want to fight me on that, fight me on it because you're wrong. And chances are you probably didn't play the game. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I will say I did the Leo thing, when Joel boosted Ellie up and is like, hey, see
Yes.
that letter, you want to toss that down to me? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yes,
Yeah.
it's
like,
the
man, you do that.
game.
Yeah, you do that like 30 times in the game. I knew
Yeah.
it was gonna sneak in there somewhere.
Yeah. But while you were talking, I was looking because I had memory of this video from 2 years ago. Our friend Wendigoon had made a video. It's about 20 minutes long, so Chad, you're gonna have to watch it. It's titled "The Last of Us Part 2 is Telling the Wrong Story."
Yeah, maybe.
Let's
So
let's see. A short
I-
analysis of the most disappointing game in recent memory. I hope you enjoy, and please let me know what you think.
yeah.
I think we need to tweet him, and anyone watching this needs to tweet Wendigoon and get him to come on the show, and we'll have a
And debate
Wendigoon
Chad.
Chad
Yeah.
debate on The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, here, don't get me wrong, I am in the vast minority as far as this stuff goes. The Last of Us 2 was not very well received by the public. But like I said, I think it was kind of set up to fail. The game leaked prior to release. The leaks sounded awful. I'll admit it. Even when I read them afterwards, I was like, yeah, well, no wonder nobody wants to play this game, dude. That sounds terrible. But like I said, I think the second game does a hell of a job of telling 2 sides of the same story and humanizing a villain. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot of that in the series, but I think they do a great job. It's a masterpiece. I don't know how many times I could say it. It's great. It's a great game.
I think that's crucial for a villain to look and to be human, because they
Yeah.
are like they
Yeah.
have so many motivations to be where they're at. And I
Right.
think a lot of shows and movies just kind of gloss over that. They're
Yeah,
like,
they do.
there's just a guy that you hate, and
Yep.
the good guys have to kill him, and whatever.
And that's it. That's exactly how The Last of Us Part 2 pans out, where you start the game hating this specific person, and then you end up being like, well, shit, I mean, she's just as right as anybody else in the story. So,
And,
And it-
just
and
as
it-
messed up, probably.
and just
too.
as much, yeah, just that they're all awful humans. It's a tough world to live in. So, and Neil, I think actually in one of the end credit scenes says that that's like his favorite thing to do is humanizing villains. And it might have been after the Henry and Sam humanizing that female villain that wasn't in the game. I can't remember her
Kathleen.
Oh
name.
yeah.
Kathleen, yeah. So that's like his thing. And I think he nails it 100% in the second game. So
I wasn't a huge fan of Kathleen. Is her name?
Oh yeah, I wasn't either. Yeah.
No, and she's on another show I watch, Yellow Jackets, and love that show. I thought she was all right. I mean, and she was in it enough to be killed, and I was fine with it.
Yeah, I think her story is super cool because they're like they overthrew the tyrants, but then kind of became the tyrants themselves, and maybe were just as bad as Fedra, who was there before.
Yeah.
So I thought that portion was cool. I don't know. I could have done without that storyline. It's not even in the game, I don't think, but it's important because it's important to kind of humanize the villains, but it gives an identity to the people that you're fighting in that sequence in the game.
Yeah. And it gives you reason why Henry's trying to get out.
Right.
Yeah. I was gonna say it connects you to that part of the story even more.
Because I forget why exactly like you end up teaming up with Henry in the game.
I think that it's pretty identical to the show. They stumble across you while you're sleeping,
which is
he says that he can get them out of the city. I can't remember what city they're in at that moment. I think okay, so it's Pittsburgh in the game. I think it was like St. Louis or something different, which is another change. Which, if you look like it makes more sense that they would be going that direction for where they're trying to head. So I get why they switched it there. But yeah, I was like, why are we in St. Louis? We're supposed to be in Pittsburgh, but it's fine. Whatever, maybe it's cheaper. Tax wise, it's cheaper to film in St. Louis. I also want to talk about the beginning of the show, the first episode primarily. Because a lot of that stuff is not in the game as well. Especially like the first half of the first episode, any of the stuff with his daughter before the outbreak happens. None of that stuff really happened. There's like a small scene where she gives him the watch. But I want to point out like the small little pieces of storytelling they're doing where you notice that, and I think we talked about this when we talked about this before, but you notice that nobody who isn't getting infected is eating no flour, anything that would be made with flour. So like Sarah doesn't take the biscuits from the neighbor. She gets the cookies from the other neighbor, but doesn't eat them. They're out of pancake mix. So it was during after that first episode, people were convinced that cordyceps got into the flour supply somehow, and they actually pay that off later on in the show where Joel explains it, like it probably got into a basic ingredient like flour.
Even see like that short little bit in India or somewhere. I forget where, but but I just want to say thank you for confirming HBO and Neil and Naughty Dog's bias towards the gluten-free lifestyle.
Right.
So I gotta say thank you. I would be totally safe in this scenario. I would not have ingested any flour, so I would have been hanging out with Joel. Hopefully, sorry.
I mean, it might have been better to just ingest the flour and get it over with, if you ask me. But
I don't think I'd want to live in that world.
No.
I loved that, like you're saying, the extra context with Sarah. But I think we all talked about this on the first episode, but just the intro on the talk show where the guy's talking about
so good, dude.
fungus, and dude, that was awesome.
Yeah, and the horrifying part of that is it's very accurate to what's happening now. You can read research papers on it. So yeah, this is a cool cold open to the show. Again, not in the game, but another thing that just adds a lot of context to what's about to happen. And then I really enjoyed the way the first episode panned out. I liked everything that they added. I liked that they changed a bit. She goes over to the neighbor's house and sees all that doesn't happen in the game. Joel just comes flying through the back door and the neighbor comes over.
So they don't show the old woman with the
No,
parrot?
yeah. So that stuff is not even in the game. So those tendrils were for the show. And it, like I said earlier, was to
Frickin'
replace
sweet.
the spores,
Yeah.
which didn't make much
Yeah,
sense to do film wise.
Yeah, the
So,
first
yeah, that-
time when they walk into the room with the guy on the wall, I'm like, put your mask on.
Yeah,
And then-
right.
and I'm
Yep.
like, okay, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
But I like freaked out. I was like, no.
Yeah, that's
And
such
the
a great
show's over.
Two episode season.
Yeah, I love that. You can tell that they really did their research on cordyceps too, because that's exactly what it does to ants. Like it takes them somewhere and paralyzes them, and then grows around them. So those people stuck in the wall in the game, I'm like, dude, man, they really thought this one out. It's not just your basic
So
zombie virus. We don't know where it came from. Yeah, it's just cool to see how well they did the zombies in the show too. I think they're done really well. The clickers again, so good in the show, man. That museum sequence is so cool.
Yeah.
Even in the game, it's really cool. So
wish
just
I
miss my
would've-
stalkers. I miss my stalkers, man. Those are some of the scariest parts of the
I
game.
wish we would have got the bow. Somebody just slinging arrows
Yeah.
and somebody crafting a nail bomb.
Yes. Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on. But no,
But-
I think
but-
overall is great.
You get the recipe for the nail bomb at Bill's, and we didn't even go to Bill's, basically.
true.
So
True.
they did show some. He was crafting. He did craft something, didn't he? Yeah, the battery for the car. He found
Yeah.
like the stuff. So
He did
there's
put it
there's
to- it was in the
snippets.
fir-
Yeah, yeah. There's snippets of the crafting in there, which I thought was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, overall, I thought it was great. Glad we finally got to see it. Casting was good. They really captured the overall essence of the game. Dad, you need to go play the game.
And I have the
Yeah.
remastered
Nice.
PlayStation. So
Stick and play
nice.
it, bro.
I'm gonna play that.
Yeah, you definitely should. It's definitely that definitely holds up. I'll lose the battle every time that part 1 needed to happen, but I enjoy part 1 a lot because it adds in the graphics and the gameplay of 2 to the first story. And I'm a sucker for graphics. We know that. So, but yeah, the remaster is perfectly passable.
Yeah.
I heard I've seen recently because it released on Steam.
Yeah,
it's not going so hot.
It's a train wreck, bro. Dude, some of the clips are hilarious. There's a clip where Tess, Ellie, and Joel are like talking to each other, but they're just dripping sweat. Like it's just constant. It just looks like they're soaked and they're just dripping. And then there's one where that's
my entire life.
Yeah. That same scene, Tess and Joel are talking, and Ellie's totally upside down in the background.
What?
Yeah, it's so broken, bro.
What is
So
this?
broken.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's The Last of Us Part 1, the PC release.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
a train wreck. Yeah, you can look up the videos. It's hilarious.
That sounds like it's on par with Pokemon Scarlet Violet bugs.
Yeah, right.
Those were wild.
It's always so jarring to me that it seems like PC games have really rocky launches for titles that don't have rocky launches on console, but they're made on PCs. Like it makes no sense to me in my mind. Maybe I'm just missing something. I don't understand.
Yeah,
the
the
way it
console to
happens.
PC port usually
Yeah.
is terrible for
I
like
don't get it.
a year.
But they made the game on a PC, did they not? I would imagine. So
yeah, I don't know.
it makes no
I
sense.
can't pretend to know, but that much is obvious. They usually are disasters.
Yeah. And then so I know the part 1 released before the and this just might be in my head, but playing part 1, the back of Joel's head looks like the back of Pedro's head. It's really trippy. So I don't know if that was intentional. I have to go back and maybe look at the first game.
Yeah,
and see
he
if
actually had plastic surgery.
Yeah,
Joel,
it's so
or,
weird, dude. Yeah.
Pedro to
Yeah,
match
it's so
that.
weird looking.
It's the after effects of wearing a Mandalorian helmet for 2 years.
Right.
No, so yeah, you guys, we got kind of a short episode here tonight, but I don't know how much more we can talk about this. I think we got pretty much everything out there.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have anything else you want to get into or say before we
What's your favorite
Alright.
episode?
favorite episode?
Hmm.
Well, shoot, dude.
That's a great question.
Let's take a gander on my screen. That's like the same brightness as the sun over here.
So I'll answer. I'm gonna have to go with episode 8. I thought episode 8 was done really well, even though there were some changes that I didn't agree with from the game. I think they did the cannibal story very, very, very good, and they also kind of humanize them too, which doesn't happen in the game. You know, they're just starving people that don't even know that they're a little culty in the game as well, and I think they that comes across in the series. So yeah, episode 8 for me.
Episode 3 was pretty good.
Oh, episode 3 was great.
So for me, it'd be a toss up between 3, 5, and 9. I mean, the finale is just great.
Yeah.
3 was pretty solid, and 5, of course, is Endure and Survive, which is the Sam and Henry story.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
Um,
It's hard to pick a favorite because there's
It is.
really
Yeah.
outside of Left Behind, there's really none that I didn't enjoy.
what about you, Dad?
I'd say 5 or 9. Is which one is the one with the bloater in it?
That's
5.
5. Yeah.
Just that whole sequence was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really thinking about it, that whole episode's really good.
With Joel being in the building, sniping
Dude.
everybody.
That part of the game was so intense.
It's very
I
very
believe it.
intense. And
Yeah.
I'm very happy that they change it because it actually happens in the daytime in the game. I'm glad they changed it tonight because I think it
Oh,
adds a
Very more effective.
aesthetically
Yeah.
very a
Much
lot more,
more
effective.
effective.
Yeah.
Oh, the runners or whatever coming out of the hole after
Oh,
the
so good.
dude, it was so
It's
crazy.
so good. And it's funny because when I first watched that episode, they look CGI, but they're not. Those were actual actors coming up out of there. They just they gave them like a filter that made them look CGI.
Wow.
But yeah, you can watch in the post credit scenes. It shows them filming that sequence, and it's all people coming up out of there.
So cool.
Yeah.
The part where Ellie gets in the car and that little girl comes
Oh,
in
dude,
after.
the girl
That was
clicker.
so
I
crazy.
forgot, dude. That girl is like a gymnast of some sort, or you can tell by the way she moves in the
Like
car.
a
It's so creepy.
contortionist. or something?
Contortionist. Yeah, that's what she is.
That
Dude,
part was
I forgot.
crazy.
Yeah, it's so good, dude. The way
So
she
many good
climbs
little-
over the
Ugh,
chair. Yeah,
yeah.
it's so freaking creepy.
Yes. Yeah, it's good. It's hard. Like you said, it's hard to pick a favorite.
I'm
All
excited
right.
to see where they go with the next season for sure.
Yeah, same. Should
I
probably
feel
play
like-
the game at some
Yeah,
point.
I was gonna say. I feel
Yeah.
like maybe you guys should play the game first.
I think I will.
I think we
just
got
'cause
time.
It's yeah, you got plenty of time because I think they said it wasn't gonna air till like 2025 or something
Jeez,
ridiculous. So
pulling out that Eclipse schedule.
yeah, yeah,
Got plenty of time.
we can't delay it if we don't put a. Speaking of delay, did you see Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League got delayed again?
Till next February.
Dude, convinced that game doesn't exist. I'm sorry. Like this is ridiculous. This is like Cyberpunk 2077.
All they
level
have are
of delays.
just the little,
trailers,
like
that's it.
gameplay wheels
Yeah.
that they show at these things.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's sad. Yeah, thanks guys for watching. Thank you guys for chatting The Last of Us with me.
Yes.
Thanks.
I'll never
Dad, for
pass up that
filling in.
opportunity.
I'm
No,
glad.
of course,
Yeah.
of course.
It's so
Thank
good.
you for sitting in for Nick, who's out of town this week. Thank you everyone who is chilling in the comments and chatting along with us. Don't forget, if you want to win this cool Darius figure, leave a comment on the video after we're done with the live stream. My favorite LCS team. I'll give you the answer. It's Cloud9. I gave you the answer before, but leave a comment after this video has ended and is
Yeah.
no longer a stream. So you're going to probably have to wait like 10, 15 minutes, maybe just do it tomorrow.
The real challenge of this is finding the video. That's the real challenge. You already got the
Yeah.
answer. Now you got to
Yeah.
go find the video.
All right.
Oh, I know
walk
the
you-
answer. I gotta find the video.
I'll walk you through it. Okay. So if you're sitting on our channel homepage, do not click videos.
Like you want to. Don't do it.
Don't do it. It doesn't make sense, but let me explain. This is a live stream. not a video upload. All the uploaded videos go under the video tab. This will just be right on our homepage, right at the very top, Showboys Podcast. There's a little section there, and that's where all of our recent live streams file into. You'll be able to find it there, or you can go to playlists. But yeah, right on the homepage, Showboys Podcast. Check out that little section. Click on the video after we're live. Leave a comment. Cloud9. All right, let's get out of here. Subscribe. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/showboyspodcast. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Oh man, I need to find
the button.
our song. Here it is. I think we
make
need
it
to,
back. You made it
yeah.
back in time.
I think we need to clean out our video clip section on StreamYard. There's so many different intros. Oh gosh.
It's hard to sort through, huh?
Yeah.